Welcome everyone to Mail Fuzz TV. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 2, Episode 9. It's called Second Sight. So spoilers for the episode as always. This one is about Sisko getting back in the saddle a little bit. He sees a lady who he's quite attracted to. You know, he's coming up on the 4th anniversary of his wife's death, and he's feeling a bit mixed about that, but he sees this woman and he's thinking, oh, maybe Jake could have a sibling. It's not too late after all. Why not? But then things get complicated a little bit later in the episode as far as that. I already said spoilers, but we'll get to what the swerve is a little bit later. Plus, there's also a scientist on the station who is preparing an experiment to try and reignite a dying star, which might work, or it might go supernova and kill everyone. These are the possibilities. So, so that's what the gist of the episode is. Connor, what did you think of Second Sight?
I'm pretty mixed on this one. I like parts of it, but then there are other parts where... So it has a pretty central mystery for a lot of it. And it kept just like throwing swerves to throw you off the scent quite a lot, but not in a good way. It just I could feel it almost like killing the time. Like, hey, we need you to keep guessing, and we know you're guessing this, so we're gonna do this. And I felt that like maybe 3-4 times.
Yeah, I can't say I like this one all that much. Like the idea of Sisko seeing a woman on the promenade when no one else is really around, and he kind of hits it off, but she disappears quite mysteriously, and it's like, oh, who is this woman? Oh no, look into it, and they can't find any trace of who this is. I'm like, okay, that's an okay mystery to start things off with. However, I don't really like any of the directions it takes. Once it starts mixing the two plots together, and it's really obvious they're about to mix, like, because it's building up to, like, hey, you're about to meet this other woman in this other plot. Oh, I wonder who that could be. And then it gets weird and complicated, and I never found any of that stuff satisfying or interesting. I was just kind of like out of it at that point.
There's like one comedic beat with Dax that I've really liked. But yeah, so the first bit when he sees her and she just vanishes, I'm there like, was she real? Was she really there? Is she a figment of his imagination? And that goes on for a few minutes where you're wondering that, and then there's a moment where Dax like, I saw you with her. I'm like, oh, okay, so she is real, and then it swerves it again. It's just back and forth, and I'm like,
yeah, I like the initial Dax saying that she saw her with him in the promenade, because at least that was like, okay, so it rules out a lot of just it's in his head or anything like that. I mean, maybe it is like because we've had so many alien beings on various Trek shows at this point who are like spirits or like just sort of like appear and disappear. So yeah, it doesn't mean that she's a physical person or that there's not something weird going on, but at the very least it's not just in his head. So we've established that at that point, and that was okay. That was interesting enough. But everything else it does with it afterwards, I don't really like that much. I think the connection that he forms with her, they act like it's really strong, and like they're throwing the word love around quite a bit by the end, and I just felt like you've not earned any of this. I don't feel this.
Dude has a crush. He had one conversation, and then maybe a date that you can kind of maybe justify.
Well, they
date.
arranged the date. I don't think they actually really had it, because when she showed up for the date, they ended up just debating, because by that point he'd learned some other things, and it was like, oh, now it's more of an interrogation.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it comes on pretty strong.
Yeah, there's a scene in the episode that kind of like conveys how I feel. Is that basically Jake like says, hey Dad, have you met a woman? And he's like, what, why? And he's like, well, all the signs that was it Nod? Is that his friend's name?
Yeah
Nog. I think it's Nog. First of all, I laughed at Sisko saying, oh, you've been talking to Nog about girls again, as if like, no, that's a bad idea, don't talk to a Ferengi about girls, that's a horrible idea. But he's like, no, the 3 signs are, you're like lost in thought and daydreaming, you're losing your appetite, and then you're smiling like randomly and looking happy. And it's like, first of all, that's very observant, Jake. I'm actually quite impressed that you've spotted that in him. But at this point, even Dax is Dax noticed it first, obviously, because Dax is an adult and like, can recognize that he's losing his train of thought and whatnot. But then Jake immediately says, oh, I'm okay with it. And I'm fine with that part because it's like, hey, yeah, sure. The kid would maybe have an opinion on his like father dating again when the mum died a couple of years ago. And it's maybe it's a first. It's a new thing for them to explore as a father and son. But then he says, oh, I mean, I can meet her. And I'm like, he's not even been on a date with her yet. Like, we're, like he should get to know her first before he's introducing her to the kid.
I think in Jake's was, he doesn't know that. He doesn't know how long this has been going on.
I know, but I think it's kind of funny that kid is how I feel about the whole relationship in the episode, is that everything after this point is like, you've barely spent time with her and you're already like having these monologues with each other about, feelings and whatnot.
I think like all the stuff I like is everyone else reacting to him. So like, like this here, I like that with Jake. I like the stuff with Kira calling him out. I'm like, hey, you didn't get your coffee or whatever it is that he normally orders. You're being weird.
Do you know what that was? I can compare that. So I've been rewatching Parks and Rec recently. This is Ron Swanson coming in with the red polo shirt and whistling. That's what that is. It's that he's met a woman. He's had sex the night before. He's acting strangely happy. Yeah.
So I like that. I like that. Then Dax like pulls me into the office and like, hey, if I was still a man, you'd have told me. He's like, no, there's nothing to tell. Yeah, and again, I like their camaraderie, like that friendship. Yeah. Like, I like that stuff.
I liked her suggesting that, and then him being like, no, you're being ridiculous. But maybe secretly she's right that he is holding back because there's a difference in his mind.
She's like, hey, I'm okay with it. I get it. This is a different relationship now. I'm a different person to before.
Yeah. So I think it's telling, though, that the things we seem to kind of liked in this episode is all the interactions between the characters that are still going to be here and developing their friendships as we go on with the show, and everything with the guest star who's supposed to be like the big romantic element is just falls flat for me.
Yeah, like 100% of my favorite moment of the episode is like, so he's oh no, there's nothing to tell, we got nothing to talk about with Dax, and then they go and it reveals who she is, and right as it does, Dax just turns and smirks and it's like, guess now we got something to talk about.
Yeah, so the big swerve, since we're hitting at it now, is that the scientist who is going to go do this experiment, right? He's got his own ship docked at the station, and they set this character up, and he's a very kind of over-the-top like scientist who does a lot of terraforming and things like that. They talk about him building like basically a perfect world that's like a theme park that people go to. Well, not a theme park, but like a like a national, like a Grand Canyon, like a Niagara Falls,
national park.
Yeah, a national park. Yeah, there you go, national park. He built like a whole planet, or terraformed a whole planet into like the perfect place to go visit as a family.
Yeah, this guy, he kind of grew on me over the episode. Like in this first couple of scenes, everyone's acting like really chummy with him. He's like, yeah, everyone likes me. I'm like, why? But by the end, I'm like, no, I kind of get it. He seems kind of like enjoyable to be around.
There was a bell curve because. Yeah, he's kind of weird to take at first, but then like in the couple of scenes after that where everyone's just kind of openly talking about having a massive ego, and he's even cracking jokes about having a massive ego, it kind of felt like it was, this is kind of weird in a good way.
He's self-aware, he's in on the joke.
Yeah. But then by the end, when he's making his big sacrifice, I thought, this is just, I don't know, because it was so
melodramatic.
Yeah, everything with the ending, I just didn't like out of all of the main plot. So he has got everyone over to his ship for a dinner, and he's like, oh, you've not met my wife yet. And you know, as he's going over to the door, says, and this is my wife, so-and-so, because it's a different name from what she said before.
That's the other bit where I was saying before, where it just like constantly throws in swerves. It can't just be, oh, this is his wife, and she's like kind of not quite having an affair, but like maybe she's looking like, no, there has to be a twist to it.
Just the thing, that is the annoying thing about this. See if it had just been the wife, and she was just kind of flirting with someone, and now like Sisko was in this awkward position where he's been flirting with the wife of this important person on board the station. That actually sounds more interesting a story to explore than all this like, no, she's actually got like a ghostly inner person that's like, like astral projecting when she's asleep plot that we then get for the rest of the episode.
She did love the scientist dude, but now she doesn't. Now she feels trapped in this relationship.
So her inner character is trying to reach out, but she has no knowledge of this inner character that's going out and talking to Sisko.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like any of this. And then, like, the fact that the scientist, for the first time in the episode, gets kind of mad about it, and reveals that he knows that she kind of wants to leave him, but because like her culture, because she is an alien, but I mean, like they've got like 2 points in their ears. That's basically the one physical difference I could tell.
Yeah, she is humanoid, and which is part of his description to Odo. She's humanoid.
And that was a funny scene because he's trying to like explain to Odo, hey, look for this woman. And he's like, what's her name? I don't know. What ship did she come in on? I don't know. What was she doing? What's she doing in the station? I don't know. It's like she has wonderful hair.
She was wearing red.
Yeah, so he's got a sparkle in his eyes. He says it, and Odo's like, "Oh, you effing humans!"
Again, this is the stuff that I did like. Which is why I said I was mixed, because like this scene with Odo, it's great.
Yeah, every time Cisco has to like interact with someone else who's like noticing that he's in like like a flirtation or something. Yeah, those all little moments are all pretty solid. It's everything where the main plot goes as the episode progresses that I just didn't really like. I didn't find it interesting. It feels underdeveloped. This whole idea that the wife wants to leave the husband, but it's introduced so late in the episode, and it's almost the very next time we see him where he's chosen to sacrifice himself by flying the experiment into the star himself. And he's like, hey, this will set her free because I'll be dead. She can finally be got rid of me, and I'll give her that, and I go out with this shining moment. And I've written my own obituary, by the way. And that was kind of amusing when he sort of like finished his obituary. He's like, oh, I didn't add the last line though about how I ended it, so take this down, Commander, because I want this added. He triumphantly gave his life to a star or something, whatever he said at the end.
Yeah, I kind of liked how everyone else was like, what the damn hell is he doing? What is he talking about? And Sisko's like, yeah, don't worry about it. I got it.
My problem with this as well, though, is one, it feels rushed and it feels like it's a bit of a leap to go to self-sacrifice to solve this problem. I know that the wife has went to sleep and she's dying, and it's like, oh, she won't actually wake back up unless like this, this situation she's in is resolved, right? I guess that's what they're going for. But my problem with the whole like sacrificing by flying the thing out to the star, though, is that up until this point in the episode, was there any indication that there was like a reason that someone would have to go out and do this manually? It kind of felt like this could be completely automated, and he just chose to go.
That is exactly what happened. It was on track to be completely automated.
Yeah.
There was no reason. He just did it because he couldn't see any other way of saving it. Like, I think it's supposed to be a genuinely noble sacrifice.
But it just feels so... Like, let's say there was a problem and it was like, hey, this isn't going to work unless someone manually, flips some switches or something in the ship as it's doing its thing. And he sort of saw it as an opportunity. That would be one thing, but like to just sort of... It really is just like, oh, I'm just going to go end everything. I'm just calling quits right now. I don't know, it just feels a bit too...
Well, I don't disagree with everything you're saying. It kind of fits his character. Like, they wrote him to a point where he is a giant egotist. And he would just go, yeah, screw it. I'm going to end it like this. I'm going to go and be a star.
Joe, the problem with this is that I think the fact that the two plots are linked is the problem. I think an episode where Sisko is infatuated with a woman and it turns out to be the wife of someone important and it puts him in a difficult position, that sounds like an interesting episode. An episode about this like guest couple where the wife doesn't hate her husband because he's not like abusive or anything, but she is not in love anymore. She wants out of the marriage, and her body's kind of doing this thing that's actually a danger to her as a result. And you've got this intermingling with those characters' plot where it's going to lead to a sacrifice at the end. I think that sounds fine if you had a full episode that focused on that to develop it to the point where you sort of bought the decisions the characters were making. I could see that working. But because they're tied together and they're trying to make them both fit together, where Sisko's having a weird relationship with this astral projection of the wife of this guy that he's then going to sacrifice him for, and then Sisko has to watch the astral projection fade away, and like it doesn't literally do this, but it's like a tear going down the cheek almost as she fades away into nothing, and then like there's a scene at the end where it's meant to be like I can see what they're going for in the sense that it's like the type of scene at the end of a Star Trek episode where the poignant kind of bittersweet moment of we have to accept this and it's difficult, but the situation is so contrived, I don't know what it's actually trying to say.
I think if we're talking about the same moment here at the end now, this is my most hated moment of the episode.
Yeah, so just to explain what this is before you give your thing. So basically, the wife, now awake and fine, comes to say goodbye to Sisko, and she's like, I'm sorry that I don't remember her, like, you know, feelings, her memories, or what happened. You know, I generally want to, but I can't, and I'm sorry for that. And Sisko just says, I'll remember for the both of us. And it just ends on this bitter note, you know, this, yeah. So
you missed the bit I really hate.
Oh, what was the bit you hate?
She goes, oh, what was she like?
Oh, yeah.
She goes, exactly like you. I'm like, how do you know? How the hell do you know? You met this wife, you met like the real woman, you met her once at a dinner party for an hour, and then she was in a coma. You know nothing about her.
Yeah, all he could really mean is, like, she looks like you.
Yeah.
He's basically just saying, I think you're hot. That's basically what he's saying here.
That's not the way it's played.
No, it's not. And that dinner party scene annoyed me as well, because I'm like, I feel there should be a lot more awkwardness here to the way he's like trying to talk to her, and she's like, I don't know who you are. Like, if anything, the plot at this point should be her being like, can we get a restraining order? Because that commander guy was making some weird suggestions, and I didn't like it. I felt uncomfortable. Like the weirdness of that moment could have really been played up a bit more, and how uncomfortable it might have made her, that he was saying things like, hey, I talked to you yesterday in the promenade. We said we'd meet each other. Why are you acting like this? Like, you know, if she genuinely doesn't know who this guy is, and like this happened, you'd understand why it would make her feel weird and feel whatever. But yeah, it goes for this, you know, poignant moment, you know, what's going to go to the title, you know, the credits at the end, and it's like, hey, the somber moment where we go out on, and I just kind of sat there feeling like, what was that saying? I don't know what it was trying to tell me. Like, most episodes of Star Trek, you get what the message is. Sometimes it's really well done, sometimes it's a bit on the nose, and you sort of you get it, you understand what it was doing. Here, I genuinely don't know what this is saying about grief, because I assume that's what it's, because the episode starts with him in his log saying that it's been 4 years since his wife died, and he doesn't know why he feels worse. Does he feel worse because it's been 4 years and the day makes him feel bad, or does he feel even worse than that because he almost didn't even notice, and that makes him feel bad that it's starting to fade as a day that he's like dreading in his memory every year. But I like, is it just about him like losing someone again and like being able to accept it in an easier way? But I don't know if
this connection is not strong enough to justify that being the theme.
No, not at all. I completely agree with that. And it's not like Cause it's not like his wife sacrificed herself, right? Like she died like during the war or the invasion or whatever it was that in his backstory. It wasn't like this. It's not like the scientist sacrifice mirrors what his wife did in any way, shape, or form. So,
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't get what this episode's actually going for by the time it ends.
No. I guess. If I'm really stretching, the closest I can get to is the scientist sacrificing himself so that the wife can have her own life and she can move on and be free. I guess the close thing is like it's supposed to be Sisko telling Sisko that, hey, it's okay for you to move on as well. Like, okay, she didn't like sacrifice herself with this intention, but you're allowed to have the rest of your life.
Yeah, but I think the context of why he dies makes it so different that I don't think that works.
Yeah. I'm not saying it does work. I'm saying I think that's maybe what they're trying.
Yeah, this one's a bit of a dud, if I'm honest. Like, obviously they're doing there's a couple of interesting ideas. Obviously, when like all the character interactions with Sisko with everyone else is good, but the core romance I don't think works. It's rushed, and the genuine interesting thing would just be that this is a more normal, oh, I almost had an affair with a married woman, how do I process that? Actually sounded more interesting than everything we actually got afterwards.
I think that, or they needed to lean more into it the other way and be like, no, she is actually influencing him to feel this way, like to feel like as strongly as he does. Like, I think if you went that route where it was like, they were all noticed Sisko being out of character, and it was like actually something that was influencing him like actively instead of just Sisko has a crush. I think if you went that route, it's still maybe not as good, but I think there's at least something more there than what we did get.
Maybe I feel like you just had to develop the scientist and his wife just need to be way more developed. I think, because that's one of the things is that the wife character, you were saying at the end that Sisko says, oh, she's just like you, and he barely really knows her. The truth is we barely really know her because we only meet her at the dinner party, and then she's unconscious. Like it's hard for us to get behind what everyone's like who everyone's trying to save here when we barely spent time with her. Literally, the only interactions we had with her as an audience is when we were going, "What's going on here? Is she lying? Is she not? Because she looks like the other woman." Like you know, like the entire time we spent with her, we were spent questioning her reality. Like, who is she? What, you know, is she a threat? Is she a twin? I mean, that's something obviously Cisco asked at one point. Is there twin sisters here or something? Like that is means that there was no time to actually form and care about her connection to her husband or her desire to leave her husband or, you know, what she actually wants. Everything is purely theoretical through her husband saying it, you know, after the fact, where he says, "Oh yeah, she wants to leave me." Oh, okay. I guess I shall care about everyone like bending over backwards to make that happen when we've never really got to spend time with her in any way. So yeah, it's a flawed episode, which is a shame because the last one was pretty good, and this show has been very good for the most part this season. So this one sticks out as being a bit of a dud.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas on Next Gen this season, this would just fit right in.
Fit right in, yeah.
Just fit right in. So hey, it will be Next Generation on the next Trek review, but when we come back to Deep Space Nine, we'll be looking at episode 10. It's called Sanctuary, and here is a description on IMDb. A race that has been conquered twice over, one of the conquerors being the mysterious Dominion, comes to the station seeking aid and a new home. Okay. Sounds interesting.
Sounds big.
So it's potentially big. So yeah, we'll see. All right. But that is next time on Deep Space Nine. Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that stuff helps us out a bunch if you do. Ding the bell for notifications. Of course, you can support all the content over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. And you get bonuses for the movie channel as well. If you haven't checked out MailFuzz Movies, go and check out there. All the movie podcasts live over there. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. And somewhere out there, can Odo be splashed onto an astral projection?